Our guest today is Mr. Patrick Lee. Mr. Patrick Lee is the chairman of the Cinema Exhibitors Association of Nigeria. He represents the cinema's owners on various issues, which include film licensing, taxation, and government relationship. And I must comment that during his time as chairman, a lot of things have taken. I remember that when when Nollywood people started taking film to the cinema, then there was no digitalization of how you could know the figures. Now I don't need to even ask anybody. I just go to the
CN
website.
It's open for everybody to see.
To know that, you understand. So those are some of the things that he has brought to the industry. But in the last few days, there's been a lot of cry, despite the fact that we are happy of the figures that we are hearing. Funke yesterday morning said she was on 1,034 million. Tony says she's on 204 in 2 weeks. But there are a lot of people who are making a lot of noise. First, I want to ask you: Did you listen to Femi? Did you ever listen to Femi Branch complain? Did you see his video?
Okay, first of all, I am no longer the chairman of the Cinema Association.
Sorry.
I was the former chairman.
Sorry.
But that's fine. And to answer your question, yes, I've listened to Femi Branch's video.
Okay. Will you want to, first of all, let's start with that. Do you want to respond to his allegations? He made 3 allegations. The first allegation is that cinemas were, when people come to the cinema, they were deliberately frustrating some people from seeing some movies. You understand that the duty of the cinema is for you to sell cinema ticket, not for you to tell somebody coming that this film is better than this film. And he also alleged that in some cinemas that they were deliberately giving halls that were not very functional to some producers, so that, and they would, when you are about to buy the ticket, they'll tell you that the AC is not working. And they mentioned the cinema, they mentioned Genesis, Maryland, as being a major culprit, that when people go to see Thin Line, they are sent to a cinema that does not have AC, which discourage them, and they now go to watch other films. What are your reactions? Someone who has a cinema, who is a distributor, how do you react to this?
Okay, first of all, the Cinema Association as an association has not received any complaint officially. That's our position. We have not received any official complaint. What we have seen are postings on social media. And for those postings on social media, take for example the issue of Genesis. I cannot speak for Genesis, but I can speak for the cinemas that I run, Viva Cinemas, and I can speak for some other cinemas that I've had relationships with. During this time of year, in fact, not just this time, but in any busy period, you often have situations where sometimes your equipment breaks down. And when it comes like that, and you are unable to repair, you make a commercial decision. Your commercial decision is, one, if I'm going to expect 100 customers to come in to watch a particular movie, it is advisable to put it in the hall where you have air conditioning if another hall doesn't have. So that often happens, where you might have a situation where equipment breaks down and they move one film from one hall to the next one. The highest selling film will always get the best facilities because we need to take care of our customers, both in terms of their safety and in terms of their comfort. So that can happen, and it can happen at any cinema. It's possible that it happened at Genesis. I don't know, but we've received no official complaint to that effect. So we understand that this is a busy period for all cinemas, and we understand that it puts a lot of pressure both on the cinema in terms of its equipment, in terms of its staff, in terms of decisions that it makes. But sometimes, because of the competitive nature of this period, tempers get very high, emotions get very high, and we get a lot of statements that are being made, which are not the generality of what happens in the cinema business. So I'm hoping that that is what has happened now.
Okay.
Okay, sir. I'd like to take you on another allegation, which I feel you can tell us, not because it's your cinema,
Yes.
but because you also run a cinema.
Yes.
Would you say it's professional or right for a staff of cinemas alleged to convince or try to assuage customers of the particular film to watch?
Okay, in terms of my own cinema, we don't do that. We don't tell, the staff do not tell customers what movie to watch. I've been in the business now 15 years. When I first started, we had customers come into the cinema to ask our staff, what movie should I watch?
Okay.
Because there wasn't a lot of social media information with regards to movies that are showing, so they depended on staff. And we encouraged most of our staff, and still do till today, for our staff to go and watch movies. For that number of customers that will come and ask, should I watch this movie? Is it a good movie? Those questions are often asked. But our customers do not encourage staff to go and watch one movie over another. We do have situations where a customer can come to buy a ticket and see a staff wearing a t-shirt of a movie. These are all promotional material that is given to us by the producers and the distributors. And in some cases, we agree to wear those promotional materials while selling the movies. Not every producer or distributor brings promotional material. When they do, it serves as two things. One, it allows us to promote the movie. Two, it allows us to compliment our staff. We give them those t-shirts, they enjoy, they say, okay, fine, I'll take the t-shirt home, it's nice. But when customers come, it can sometimes be misinterpreted to lead to the fact that a cinema is trying to sway a customer to do that. But that's not what we do. Okay. Generally, it doesn't happen. Most cinemas do not, it's not in their interest. To a large extent, it's not in their interest.
Okay.
Yeah.
My next question is this. I will be practical with this question.
Yes.
The week that Waiter came out, if you look at the timing that Waiter got from most of the cinemas, except Silverbed, they were very off period, and it was the first week. And I'm not a cinema, I always do not like to say what I don't know. So that's why I want to ask. Waiter, by all standards, is a good film. By all standards, he has done the kind of promotions that you are supposed to do if you want to take a movie to the cinema. But I'm looking, as I'm talking to you, I'm looking at the timing that we're giving to it compared to the timing that we're giving to his competitors at the same time. And I'm seeing 11 a.m., 1 p.m., where his competitors are getting the premium time. So that leads me to my question. Are there cabals in the movie industry that give undue advantages to some movies than others?
And to add to that, what determines the timing you give films?
Okay, let's go to the specific question which you asked in terms of Waiter compared with the competitors on that particular week Waiter released. Okay, Funke Akindele's movie Everybody Loves Jenifa and Thin Line released 1 week earlier.
Okay.
All right, when a movie releases on a particular day, the most important period of determining the movie's success, and it works 90% of the time, is the first week. The first week tells you if a movie is going to sell. And I'll give you an example going back almost 10 years plus now in terms of the first Jenifa. When the first Jenifa was released, I was at Ozone then.
Return of Jenifa.
Yes, and we gave that movie first show 12:40, second show 6 o'clock or thereabouts. At 12:40, the hall was 90% full. Now, you would say that's an unfavorable time. But the customers came out at that unfavorable time to watch the movie at 12:40. That immediately told me that this movie may have legs, it may sell. And we are now put in a situation where you have to make a decision. What do I do next? Do I give it additional shows? Because they will come, people will come. And in those days, we didn't have this many cinemas. Now, coming back to today, when the movie Jenifa released the Friday before Waiter, the level of attendance in almost every cinema around the country told the exhibitors of each cinema that this movie was going to do well. By the first weekend, the movie had scaled 100 million plus.
Yes, true.
And it kept at that level of about 30 million naira per day, which is the type of figure some movies make in the whole of their lifetime in the cinema. This movie was doing it per day. Now, you are a business owner, you own a cinema. So you make a judgment call. Do I gamble on what I know, or do I risk the new movie coming out? And you look at your space.
But this, and sorry for cutting you.
Yes.
But where I saw this thing that I'm bringing to you,
yes,
the person was comparing it to this movie that came out the same day with Waiter.
Which movie?
Alakada.
Alakada came out. Okay, which cinema?
He compared it with all the Film One cinemas.
Let me give you an example. Tony Abraham is Alakada's producer.
Yes.
She has a core market. So depending on which cinema you are looking at, Tony Abraham's core market is in the southwest. A majority of her movies sell in Oshogbo, in Akure, in Ibadan, Abeokuta, Ile-Ife. That's her core market. In Lagos, her core market is towards the Ikeja end. So you're talking Maryland Genesis, ICM, THC Cinemax, Viva Cinemas, the one in the Dream Park in Ikorodu, Film World. That's her core market. Her core market is not in IMAX. So when your cinema is within Tony Abraham's core market, you also have to make a decision. AY last released a movie a couple of years ago. Yes. Now, his core market is primarily in the south and in the southeast, and in many parts of Lagos. So, depending on where your cinema is located, it will have a determining factor on your decision as to where you schedule that movie. Because at the end of the day, you don't know what the customer is going to watch.
So what you are telling us now is that it is practically impossible for cinema, because they don't like my face, to deliberately try to kill my film.
It's not in their interest. I may not like your face, but it is the customers that pay for your film.
The film is
and they fund me. And if they like your film, it makes no difference whether I like your face. Because if I don't like your face and I decide not to give you good times, my business will suffer.
Okay, I won't want to mention the name of this producer and the name of the distributor. I belong to a lot of Nollywood groups, and that was why I was determined to speak to somebody who does what you do. And there have been a lot of talks in the last 1 week. A producer said that he was so shocked that he released a movie, and that the cinema of his distributor was at the cinema, and that the staff of the distributor of his I think you read that thing too, were encouraging people to buy tickets for another film.
Okay, I mean, like I said, what we try to do in the Cinema Association is to encourage such producers to make an official complaint, because then we can investigate it officially. But when people go on social media and make statements, we can look at the statements, try to determine how true it is. But because it's not an official complaint, it's rather challenging for us to take it up. So we encourage them to do that. Now, in this particular situation, there may be a number of reasons why that may have happened. And again, the question is often asked, well, is the story actually true as said? But when a complaint is made, we go into all the aspects of it.
Did you read Perry's post?
No, if you tell me what exactly was the post.
Okay. He alleged that he spent 200 million to make a movie, gave it to a distributor, and that they messed it up with the timing and the rest, and that he barely made 53 million at the cinema.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, he was out of the 53 million, he could only get 8 million naira back. So that leads me to my next question. What determines the sharing formula of what the producers get? Because a lot of people, and sometimes people ask a question, what exactly is the work of a distributor? Because a producer take the big risk to make the money, spends hundreds of millions again to promote the movie. And now distributors now say running cost, or I forgot what they call that cost again, pay this amount of money. And at the end of the day, the distributor also have a sizable share in what comes. And a lot of producers are complaining that after they've paid this money and they are promoting, that the things that the distributors are supposed to do naturally, that maybe in one of the groups, a producer actually, at least a producer that has been to the cinema several times, even had successful movies in the cinema, said he discovers that he's the one that does the work of the distributor, because when he goes to Oshogbo, he will discover that even the things that were said to have been sent there, sometimes it is sent and they are not displaying it, or they are not even sent. He will be the one that will not have to resend again. What's your opinion on this, and what do you understand my question?
I understand your question. First of all, there's a Distributors Association, which I'm also a part of. There's a Distributors Association, and for any movie that is made and wants to come to the cinema, they must have a licensed distributor. The National Film and Video Censors Board licenses all distributors that want to distribute films either through the cinema or in many other platforms. And we work with the NFVCB to determine what the terms and conditions should be and stuff like that. Now, when a producer approaches a distributor for a movie they've already made, generally a distributor would look at the movie and determine whether or not the movie is worthy to be in the cinema. Why? Because cinemas have certain standards that they expect the movie to meet. Sound standards, quality standards, who's in the movie, what's the storyline, all of that. If a movie does not reach those standards, the distributor can say, no, I don't want that movie. If it reaches those standards, the distributor can say, yes, I'll distribute the movie for you, and I will try to get you as wide a coverage as possible. We have a process whereby all cinemas are notified of movies that are going to be released. And these movies are sent to the cinemas within a month, 2 months before their release date, so that the cinemas can make a decision on whether to actually go ahead and take those movies. Two scenarios often occur. One, the scenario whereby the distributor advises the producer, this movie is not suitable for cinema. Producer says, put it anyway. In a situation like that, the chances of making their money back from cinema is very slim. But if the distributor can find space, they will take it. If they can't, they will advise otherwise. The producer may go and find another distributor who may accept and try to get it into the cinemas. Now, assuming they scale all of that and they put the movie in the cinema, the distributor has a responsibility But that responsibility is put in an agreement, which is I'll try to get you as many cinemas as possible. Distributors cannot always guarantee a full wide release. There are almost 90 cinemas in the country right now. So they will generally agree to try and get you to as many cinemas as possible, a certain percentage. They will also agree with you that you should pay for one of two things. The logistics you pay for, but the marketing may depend on the agreement you have. Sometimes the producer wants to do their marketing on their own. Other times they want the combination of both parties. Sometimes they say, okay, distributor, do it yourself.
What's the definition of logistics?
Oh, things like census board fees for rating the movie. Those are logistics. Converting the movie from an MP4, for example, to a DCP so it can be shown in any screen. Those are logistical things. And then the distribution of all that material, such as the DCPs have to be sent to each cinema. The more cinemas you get, the more the cost is because you are sending it around the country. Those are logistics that are there, irrespective of whatever it is, you must pay them. Now, whether or not you pay for wide publicity or specific targeted publicity is a different matter, whether you do it yourself. So all these agreements are put there. Now, when the movie goes to cinema, there is a sharing formula that we agree, which is 50, 45, 40. For most movies. Some movies, Nollywood movies, get 55, 55, 50, 45, 40. Now, that formula runs throughout the whole movie. When the movie comes out, when the movie finally leaves the cinema, there are taxes to be paid on all the money generated. There's value added, there's what's this tax? Yes, there's VAT. There's in some places entertainment tax. All of these taxes need to be paid. Now, the distributor only gets their money after the taxes are paid. And so at the end of the day, depending on how successful the movie is, a producer may only get between 35 and in some cases 45, depending on the popularity of the movie and what terms were agreed. And so it's a challenging atmosphere, but the rewards are there. But in this particular case where the producer spent 200 million, in the cinema business, we would often say, well, if you know you're going to get 35% back from cinema, that means you expect the cinema to generate 600 million for you. If not, you won't meet your cost. So what we are trying to do also is tell the producers that at this point, we know that cinemas can generate huge revenue. But look at the figures they've generated in the past. Based on that, make your decision in terms of production cost.
Okay. Finally, for me, I need to ask this.
Yes.
I know we have exceeded our time, but I need to ask this because I've heard conversations about this, and you have been chairman of CAN before.
Yes.
You are a member now.
Yes.
It's imperative we set records straight.
Yes.
Is it true that these figures we hear about the films, Nollywood films in cinemas, is it true that sometimes these figures are doctored?
No. The simple answer is no. The figures are not doctored because the figures are lifted directly from the POS terminals of the cinema. So if I go to the cinema and I buy a ticket, the ticket is punched, you get your ticket. That figure goes directly into the reporting system.
Okay.
And that's why no.
Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Lee, thank you so much for coming at a very short time. And I will advise the Cinema Association, Owners Association, they need a lot of educating and of a lot of people, even informed people in the industry.
There should be platforms.
There should be platforms or maybe a forum where they will
interact and educate a lot of people.
There's a lot of misinformation going out. And when
young producers,
when misinformation goes on for a very long time,
it becomes a norm.
It becomes a norm, and you people will now look like the enemies of the industry, because if you go on social media now, it looks like you are the enemy of the industry that is disrupting, and that there is a cabal in the movie industry. Thank you so much for coming, and
and clarifying a lot of things. And I hope this helps a lot of people.
And we hope to bring him back again some other time.
When we have more time to discuss, you understand. All right, it's been a very informative edition of Nollywood on Radio, and like we always tell you, make sure that you keep watching Nollywood movies. There's a lot of Nollywood movies in the cinemas at the moment. Everyone loves Jenifa, Alakada,
Bagambuji,
Waiter, Thin Line, and so many more. So take opportunity of the holiday to watch. Till next week, when we come back with another interesting guest for you to learn more about Nollywood. Keep listening to Nollywood on Radio. Thank you for listening.